Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Astrology with your friend Gretchen Heidel, full-time astrologer, life coach, Reiki master, and so much more. And I'm here live. It is our Monday night date on August 28th, 2023, and I have a lot to go over this week. We have some bigger planetary things happening this week, including that big super new moon, full moon, blue moon. So welcome everybody who is joining me live. I am co-recording on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm here every Monday night on Facebook, unless stated otherwise, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on my Astrology Updates by Gretchen Heidel page, or I post the pre-recorded version on my YouTube channel as well, so that you can watch. I have a horizontal and a vertical view, so whichever you like to watch better is fine with me. Go ahead and like, share, and make sure that you comment below your astrological sign and where you're tuning in from. I love to hear from you. And so welcome. We have I have a lot to go over tonight. It's not like last week where there was something happening every day. Thankfully, okay, because that was a lot. Last week's astrology was a ton. I feel like maybe some of us are all exhausted from that astrology from last week. We had a lot going on, including Mercury retrograde started. Hello, Melinda, my first commenter to comment. Welcome. Capricorn in Vermont, Cancer moon, and Scorpio rising. Welcome. I love that. So we had a lot going on every day. Something was happening every day last week, and it was just a lot. If you saw me posting, I was posting a lot. I was on TikTok, and I was doing all this kind of stuff on Instagram. And by the way, if you didn't know, I do have a TikTok page. It's newer. I don't have as many followers on it, but I did start it fairly recently in the last few months. So if you like TikTok and you're on there, go ahead and like that as well. I'm the only Gretchen Heidel, which is really convenient and fun. Hey, Wendy, welcome. Aquarius in Vermont. Hope everybody is doing well. Don't have many people joining yet. But yeah, I was wondering, how is everybody doing from last week? So just as a very brief recap, last week we did have Mercury retrograde that started. It felt like it was 100 years ago. It was just Wednesday on August 23rd. Mercury retrograde started. So we are in the height of Mercury retrograde, still in Mercury retrograde. Mercury is in Virgo. We started Virgo season on the same day of last Wednesday. Then we had Mars that moved into Libra on Sunday, August 27th. And the big thing that happened over the weekend, which I really want to kind of talk about because it's going to be affecting us this week still, is that the Sun in Virgo is opposing Saturn in Pisces. So that's happened. The peak of that was on Sunday, August 27th at 4:28 a.m. But remember, these planets don't just like stop and start. Like, it's a bubble of time that we're talking about here. So this is still active right now, and it's still affecting us right now. And it's still, and it's going to be caught up with this big full moon. So how is everybody feeling? Andrea, hello, welcome. Aries in Vermont. welcome. Sarah, Aquarius in Boston, love that. Wendy said, wiped out, you went strong, and you picked up too many rocks. Yes, that was what I said last week. If you guys remember, I was saying we might be being able to do that. Sarah, also Leo in Vermont, different Sarah. Almir, hello. Almir, Taurus in Sagittarius. And Cancer placements. Welcome. Terry, hello. Welcome. Aquarius in New York. Welcome. So we have a bunch of people joining. Yay, I love that. And so this Sun opposing Saturn is kind of a big deal, and it's still going on. And I'm going to talk about that. We have a couple of big things going on this week, including a new retrograde planet is just started today. And then we have the supermoon, big deal. And then we have a planet ending its retrograde. So I have some good news for you. We have a planet that's wrapping up its retrograde. thankfully. So we have a lot going on. So welcome everybody. So I'm just going to get started, jump in with the new week. And this is August 28th on Monday. We have a new planet that started its retrograde nest today, and that is Uranus in Taurus. Uranus just went retrograde, or is going retrograde. I shouldn't say just went, is going after this broadcast is over, actually, on Monday night at 10:39 p.m. Eastern time. So 7:39 p.m. if you're out on the West Coast or somewhere in between, just adjust the time zone. But that's basically what the deal is. So it is just like a thing. And Uranus is the planet of something that's unexpected. It's the shakeup. It's the wild card planet. We call Uranus the wild card, the Great Awakener. It is something that's kind of unsteady, unstable. It is the ruler of Aquarius. So if you are an Aquarius, this is your ruling planet. I feel like most of us have some kind of ruling planet right now. It's retrograde. A lot of people do, except for Aries doesn't. I don't know. I'd have to go through all the signs, but a lot of planets are retrograde right now. Now this makes number 7. Planets retrograde current time. We have a lot of planetary retrogrades. So let me think. We have Venus, we have Mercury, because those are the 2 personal planets, and that's a big deal. And then we have, let's see, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, now Uranus. Yes, that's 7 planets altogether. So that's a lot of planets retrograde right now. And we're in the heart of the retrograde season for sure. We would have 8 next month, 8 planets retrograde, but one of the retrogrades is ending. So we will continue to have 7 planets retrograde. Even next month, we are going to have that. So it's a lot of retrograde. And when we have all of this retrograde, remember that retrogrades are reviewing something in astrology. We're revisiting something. We're going back to the past. We're thinking about the past. We're getting, it's like all this kind of stuff. And that's basically what the deal is. So yeah. Almir said the Tower card of Tarot. Yes, exactly. Hello, Sotil. Welcome. Oh my goodness, what is going on? I know it is a lot. It is a lot. Hello, beautiful Sylvia, upstate New York. Also, awesome. Gemini, welcome. So yeah, so we have a lot of retrograde planets, and so it is a lot. And now we have Uranus retrograde. So what does this mean? It starts, by the way, and this is one of the outer planets. So remember what I always say, with the personal planets, we're feeling it up close and personal. I mean, it's literally how it sounds. It's personal, it's close to the planet. But one of the outer planets that's further away, that one, we feel them for sure. We feel those outer planets. But we usually feel it more strongly in the very, very beginning and also in the very, very end of the retrograde. But in between, in the outer planets, we kind of feel like sort of starts to move to the backdrop. Like Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde are right up in our face the whole entire time that they're retrograde. But these other ones kind of go off to the backdrop just a little bit. Oh, thank you. Ding, ding, ding. Sotil gave me 99 stars. I love that. Thank you. If you want to do stars are a little way of giving a tip or financial support to the broadcast. And thank you so much for that, Sotil. That was very generous and kind. So what we are going to do is we're going to be feeling this planet, because it's just started its retrograde, more strongly in the beginning. So here's what the dynamic of it is. Again, Uranus is currently going through Taurus, and it is going to be stationary retrograde at 23 degrees Taurus. So you need to know where Taurus is in your chart, and 23 degrees and all that stuff. Hello, Rita from Colorado. Yay. I know I need to have my little bell so we can have a bell party, right? So it'll be 23 degrees Taurus all the way starting from August 15th to September 11th. So it won't even go back to 22 degrees until September 11th. That's when it starts to switch to 22 degrees. See, so when these big planets go retrograde, it's not like they're moving like like Mercury just, starts going back immediately, as far as like the degrees. But now Uranus, hovers and for almost a month, is hovering at 23 degrees. So if you have a planet that is 23 degrees Taurus, or even 23 degrees in general, this might highlight that planet for you, and you might be feeling that. Now remember, Uranus is the great destabilizer. It's like, let's shake this up and see what see what happens. And so it's something that, oh my goodness, when we talk about earthquakes, when we talk about tremors in the body, when we talk about heart palpitations or migraine, headache, seizure activity, any kind of thing with the electrical system of the body is a Uranus sort of thing. And we have some shocks and upsets and unexpected events. Now, I always say you can win the lottery, and that would be a wonderful surprise. Or, something else could happen, and that would be a surprise, and maybe not a great surprise. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you, Roz. Roz sent 100 stars. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're awesome. Wendy said Taurus is in your second house of money, so you'll take it. Well, yeah, see, there you go. Maybe you'll be one of those lucky lottery winners. Rosalie, hello. Greetings, Capricorn. I love that. Yeah, I don't remember if you're Leo rising or Leo moon. I'm not sure. Yeah, so anyway, with Uranus, I mean, we are talking about, like I said, anything that's kind of this shocking stuff. And oh no, Andrea, shocking news of shenanigans over the weekend. Yes. Yeah, so see, that's kind of activating. There might be another reason for that, Andrea, which I'm going to get to in a second, that also might be affecting that. But the shocking news, yeah, that's Uranus's specialty. Now, remember what I always say, I don't necessarily feel that Uranus is a sort of bad planet. A lot of astrologers do classify Uranus as, a planet that can be these unexpected shocks and things. Like there was a shooting at a school in North Carolina today, and there was just a lot of like crazy energy going on right now. And so that can be very Uranus, I guess, in a way. But we're going to feel it more sharply around this time, a couple weeks, a week or two, especially as it's hovering at that 23 degrees Taurus and it's just hunkered down and hanging out there. We will be feeling that, but then it starts to drift in the backdrop. So Uranus is going to be retrograde from August 28th today on Monday all the way until January 27th of 2024. So, after, once we get into October, November, we're not even going to be thinking about Uranus, or, it just sort of fades into the backdrop and we get used to the energy. And that's what happens when these big outer planets, because they're retrograde for 5-6 months out of the year, and it's something that we just kind of get used to. But the shockingness is the beginning and the end of it, and that's like what we're in right now. I mean, that is a thing. Rosalie, ding, 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 another 100 stars, and Wendy too, 50 stars. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are awesome. And so that is happening. So if you have any planets in Aquarius, or if you have Uranus highlighting or hitting something, you will be feeling this. And conversely, Scorpios could feel this too through the opposition, because Taurus and Scorpio are opposite each other. And then of course, if you're one of the other fixed signs, you could be feeling it also, which is Aquarius and Leos. So see, there's a lot of planets, a lot of signs that could be affected by this Uranus retrograde. And also, where is it retrograde? Remember, it's just change. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind with Uranus is Uranus just wants something to change. Now, sometimes change is just for change's sake, and then that's not quite as fun. But sometimes we want change in our life, and this is the time to kind of evaluate and reevaluate what we've been going through. Now, in Taurus, we've been continuing to go through this. Taurus is the sign that is an earth sign, so it is literally pertaining to Mother Earth, environmental factors and things like that, storms and all kinds of things. I'm telling you, I've been telling this to people for a little while. I've been feeling this particular hurricane season is going to be quite not so good. So, and I know there's a hurricane headed right for Florida right now, and we'll talk about that in a second, but there's a lot. So Uranus is actually kind of right outside. The Uranus geodetic line is right outside of the West Coast. And so the West Coast has definitely been feeling some like craziness, some shocking stuff. And so, but even if you're not on the West Coast, wherever, you could still be feeling, this energy. Now, Taurus is also our earthly goods. When we talk about Mother Earth, it's also our earthly goods. It's our material possessions, it's our financials, and it's resources. And this kind of gets into a bigger thing, which I'm going to touch on a little bit briefly in this broadcast, which is the United States Pluto return. Now, I talked to you guys about that. I made a video about that almost like 2 years ago. And so it's something that, oh boy, we have another interloper like on our broadcast. So if anybody wants to report that person who's offering free angelic readings, unfortunately, I can't block them while we're in the broadcast. So whatever, it's just something that happens. So anyway, so when it comes to the United States Pluto return, I actually recorded a broadcast a couple years ago about that. It is on my YouTube channel, so if you just scroll down, it's going to be United States Pluto return. And the United States Pluto return is still going on. It's been active for 2 years now because it's a long-term thing. And the last time Pluto was in this position in Capricorn was all the way back in 1776, 4th of July, 1776. So this is the very first Pluto return the United States has had. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because this fall is, the United States Pluto return has had several peak times in this last couple of years, and this fall is the last time it's going to have its peak time before it starts to really move away, and then it's actually going to be going back into Aquarius next year. So I think it's going to be in 2024. I'd have to look, but at the end of the year, it's going to be going back into Aquarius. So we will start to feel the new life lesson. But this fall, it's hovering in Capricorn, and we're having a return of all that Capricornian stuff. So I feel like we could have another time of constriction or restriction. Now, there's a big thing going on the internet. I think it's a conspiracy theory or whatever it is, of like lockdowns and governmental regulations. I don't know, there's all this kind of stuff going on right now. A lot of people, I'm even having clients asking me about that. I do not feel that is going to happen again. Intuitively, I've kind of zoned in, but I think what everybody's unconsciously or subconsciously feeling is Pluto, because we are going to have some constriction or restriction. We have to, because that's Pluto's job in Capricorn, and it's retrograde right now. So we're revisiting that United States Pluto return. So getting back to this Uranus and earthly goods and things like that, we might see another constriction happening a little bit. But financially, monetarily, there might be another thing. Do I think it's going to cause a big, like a lockdown and all? No, I don't feel that. I really don't. I feel like it's just, we're feeling it subconsciously. And I think sometimes with these theories and people like reporting these different things, I think what happens is on Earth, we are all connected. And we are all connected to the divine and to these cosmic planetary things. And I think what happens is people start to sense or feel things, and then it starts to take off in a rumor or a conspiracy or whatever. And I really feel like that's kind of sort of intuitive, but it's not right on the dot. You see what I'm saying? Like people are getting a hit, what I call a hit, an intuitive hit, like something wicked this way comes, but it's not quite on the marker. So it's like people are grabbing at like straws and trying to figure out, what's happening. So that's what is coming. That's the thing that's coming, is the United States Pluto return. It'll be its last, thank goodness, okay, for this fall. It'll be its last time of the constriction restriction. And so do I think that COVID could get bad, and the flu and RSV and maybe the economy? Yeah, I think it's all that, I think but we've been weathering this pretty well. Remember with these things, the first time it happens is always like the worst time. The first time it does its United States Pluto return hit, right? That would have been the worst hit. Now this is old school. Like we're good. You know, we already know what's going on. We got the 411, you know. We already know what we're dealing with, you know. Oh, more of the same. Okay. Got to pay a little bit more for my eggs again, and I got to, you know, I don't know, have a little extra money at the gas pump. You know, I mean, we're dealing with that already, and we've been dealing with it. It's not a new thing. This is like the fourth, I think, direct hit of the United States Pluto return. So we got this. We've been practicing. We've been doing this all along. And so that's how it goes. It's the same thing when I talk about even people's Saturn returns and other things that go on in their chart. The first time is always the worst time because it's what we call a new problem, okay? So 2 years ago, there was a new problem. Like, it was like, oh, wow, we're getting into this whole new, like, sense of reality. Now we're here. And yeah, I mean, it's much of the same. And, you know, I predicted, if you guys remember, a lot of you have been watching me for a while now, but in the beginning of the pandemic, I kept seeing all these empty buildings, I was like, I don't even know what they're going to do with all these empty buildings. And now, you know, they're talking about the commercial real estate space is going down the tubes, and there are all these empty buildings. And I think it's kind of interesting. I had talked about that a long time ago. So it's just something that I think we need to deal with. Okay, we're going to have a little constriction or restriction. It's okay. We got this. We've been doing it, and we've been practicing at it. So now we're just going to continue to make our way through. But the good news is it's the last time the United States Pluto return is exact. And then it's starting to separate. And you know, with Pluto, it's super slow. We're talking years that it separates and separates and separates, but it will be separating. And this will be the last time the United States has to go through this. But we are going through this as a nation. And if you're a resident of the US, then we are affected. We're in the place that's affected. So we're not having a personal Pluto return in our charts. We never will, because it only happens once every 248 years. That's why I said the last time, you know, it was in this position in Capricorn was 1776. Okay, so that's just, I wanted to give a public service announcement because I've been getting a lot of private messages and just people shyly asking in sessions like, what do you think's gonna happen? You know, I mean, and political, we're gonna go back to there's gonna be a lot of political stuff and that sort of kind of conservative versus whatever. And it's like, you know, I mean, like, there's just a lot of like wanting to break free from some of that, but we're at the end of it, and we're getting to be sort of at the end of the Capricorn Pluto thing. So that'll be good. I think that'll be good. Wendy asked, what's the end date of Pluto? Well, Pluto goes on forever, but I have a client that makes a joke in our sessions. She said, now that I know, I will never name my dog Pluto. Yeah, BP Stump said, yeah, it's disgusting when people do that. It can be, yeah, for sure. Andrea said, definitely our country's going through it. Yeah, exactly. So it's just something. So this is a little last kind of hit in Capricorn. Then it's going to go into Aquarius next year, and then it'll go back to Capricorn one more time, but it won't be exact to the Pluto return, but it'll get back into Capricorn again. And then after next year, it'll be in Pluto. Pluto will be in Aquarius full time. But we just basically have this thing going on. Yeah, Almir said revolution. Well, if you think about 1776, we were tarring and feathering people on the streets. You know, I mean, that was like a very, very contentious time. But it's also the time that, remember, Pluto's archetype is Phoenix rising. So remember that out of that muckety muck rose up the United States Constitution, and, you know, all these, like, it was like the new government and all this kind of stuff. And so, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it, you know, it's it's definitely uncomfortable to go through. And I think in the US, we have never really felt like this sense of, you know, all this kind of muckety muck and stirring up and people just infighting with each other. I mean, like, that was going on a lot in 1776. A lot of people were fighting with each other in our own country. And so now we gotta we haven't found that common ground yet. I'm hoping that it's coming. I really do. I hope it's coming. But that's basically what the deal is. So this Uranus retrograde is reminding me, just to get back to that, because I know that was a side rant, but I wanted to talk about it again because it is a factor. It is going to be active this whole fall time frame for us here in the US. So it is a factor, and we know how to do it. We've been doing it. It's not the first hit. It's like the fourth hit, I think, now. So we've been doing it in the last few years, where we're in that zone of the Pluto return. The Pluto return itself is 10 years long, but this is the heart of it. This is like the most exact of, like, the hardest part, I guess, really. And I always say the hardest part of any race, like if you're running or doing some kind of marathon, is seeing the finish line. I can see that finish line, but I'm not there yet, And so, like, it's in sight. I think that's the hardest time, because it's like, it's still 5 miles away. Oh God, I have another 5 miles to go. But it is coming. It's in sight, at least, the finish line of the United States Pluto return, which is exciting. So yeah, so it's something that hopefully we can get along and not, cause any kind of major whatever. And I always say too, with, things, try not to get too far into the negative, because there's people who just rant about it and talk about the, and everything's going to crapola and like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what are you manifesting? Like, are you manifesting a better tomorrow, a brighter future, or are you just staying in the muck, And so that's what I always remind people, like when we get into these political discussions and political things, like, let's try not to go down that slippery slope, because we're manifesting an ugly future, not a bright future. But yeah, so I hope that helps. So United States Pluto return is kind of, in a way, I think, connected to this Uranus, because I do think we're going to have a constriction with maybe some goods and some financials and all kinds of things like that. So that's just the thing. I mean, we're going to have to just, I always say forewarned is forearmed, and having awareness of that, not fear, just awareness. Like, oh, I have to buy an extra box of spaghetti when I'm at the store. Okay, got it. Fine, that's okay. And then live your life, and remember, if you have a little extra and you can donate, or you can help a friend or help a neighbor, do that too, because I think that all helps. It helps to put it in the good, I don't know, I call it the good karma bucket, but whatever your thing is. Almir said, yeah, new beginnings. Exactly. Wendy said, stay away from the energies you don't want in your life. Exactly. Make your personal bubble beautiful. I love that, Wendy. Thank you. Yes, exactly. So just knowing that that's where the planets are. And if you see or hear a lot of muckety muck on the news, and this is going the bad and blah, 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 all the stuff, I just cancel clear that stuff. I taught you guys cancel clear a couple weeks ago. I just cancel clear, and I'm just like, I don't want to feed into it, because it's just, aren't we just focusing on that and manifesting that? Shut down. I'm shutting that down, Okay, so that's what's going on. Again, Uranus retrograde starts on Monday, 10:39 p.m. after this broadcast, 8/28/2023, and lasts all the way until January 27th, 2024. We're already getting into 2024 time frame. I think it's pretty cool. Now, we have big news this week, and I want to spend a little bit more time on that. The other big news is we have that last super moon, full moon, okay, blue moon, it's all the moons, okay? And that is going to be at the end of August, here on August 30th, 2023. The exact time is going to be at 9:36 p.m. Eastern time, so 6:36 p.m. if you're out on the West Coast or somewhere in between, just adjust. And it is going to be in Pisces, 7 degrees Pisces. Now, this is the biggest full moon of the whole year of 2023. It is the closest to the planet. It is a super moon, but it's the closest of all the supermoons. So it's like a super moon, okay? And even though next month is going to have a supermoon, last month had a supermoon, but we're in a supermoon zone. But this is now the closest supermoon. So make sure you get outside to put, take some pictures with your camera, because it is going to be big. Hopefully we will be able to see it. But that is going to be the height, 9:36 p.m. Eastern time in Pisces. And it is going to be also a blue moon. Now, what is a blue moon? There's a couple of definitions of blue moons. The first definition is that, and this is kind of a more obscure definition, where there's four full moons in a quarter. So instead of having 3, there's 4. Okay, so that's one definition. And then the other definition, if there's 2 full moons in a month. Usually there's only 1. So if there's 2 full moons. Now the next time this is going to happen isn't until May 31st of 2026. So this is once in a blue moon, right? It's a little unusual. So when we talk about and we use that phrase, we always use that phrase like, oh yeah, well, once in a blue moon, I put my car in the garage or whatever, whatever thing you're saying. That's why, because it's once in a while. And so the next time is not going to be for 3 more years from now in a blue moon, another blue moon. So this particular blue moon is going to be big, strong, and powerful, and very powerful. The gravitational pull is there. We have the it's astronomical activity of it being a super moon, and it's going to be super close to the Earth. And so that's a big thing. And it is going to be the full moon in Virgo season. So what does that mean? It means the sun and the moon are opposite of each other. So if you are Virgo, the sun will be at 7 degrees Virgo, and then the moon is going to be in 7 degrees Pisces. Now, if you have a Pisces moon, this is your moon. This is my full moon, unfortunately. I don't like when we have a Pisces full moon, this is my full moon. But yeah, so if you are a Virgo or a Pisces, or if you're born around this time in the month, you might say, well, how do I know? Well, if you're born around this time in the month, at the end of August, this is going to be, you're in the very heart of it, and you're right up in there. And so that is what the deal is. Now, this particular Pisces moon, and I told you I would circle back to some of, what I was talking about with what happened over the weekend. This particular full moon, super moon, blue moon is going to be very caught up with that Saturn-Sun opposition. Arrgh, dang it. Okay, and that thing happened again over the weekend on Sunday. The peak of it was on Sunday, the 27th at 4:28 a.m. Eastern time. Now, just because it peaked on Sunday, that thing is still very active. It was active all weekend. Now it's still active because it's going to be caught up with the full moon. So just so that you know, the full moon's happening, at 9:36 p.m. And on that same day at 3:33 p.m., it's conjuncting Saturn. It's going to be, because Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. So the full moon and Saturn are going to be aligned during this full moon. Yeah. So all the stuff that I said last week about, Saturn is our life lesson. Saturn is the dad. Saturn is, all this kind of stuff, hard work and spirituality and all these things is going to be caught up with this. Now, this is one of the most spiritual full moons there is of the year. It's in Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. So we're finishing up We're really super finishing up something. Full moons are about finishing, peaking. We're at a peak cycle. So again, if we go back to that farmer's, sort of analogy, new moon, we plant new seeds. And then the full moon, we pick the fruit and the labor, we get the benefit of the fruit and the labor of everything that we've done, and the harvest. Okay. And so this is what's happening during this full moon. And it's in the very last sign, which is the ruler of the 12th house. Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house, which you guys know, if you've ever had a session with me, I have a lot of nicknames. And the reason why I do that, by the way, is so that astrology has its own language, which I call astrologies. And so I try to make astrologies more accessible so that people can understand it. So the 12th house is the area of rest, restore, rejuvenate, take a nap, do some yoga, do some stretching. This is the time for and Saturn too is slowing down, can be a little, Saturn is hard work usually, but it's in Pisces and it's retrograde. So it's more like, am I wasting my time here? Because remember, Saturn retrograde is here to figure out, are we wasting our time? Are we wasting our effort? Or are we wasting our resources? So being in Pisces, we're sort of taking an assessment. And also with Pisces, we're definitely focusing on what's more of our spiritual side. What's our connection to God, Buddha, Allah, Mother Earth, Gaia, whoever it is you pray to, in reference to this. I feel that is very Piscean. It's the connection to God. It's our crown chakra. Okay. That's why one of the stones for Pisces is amethyst. It is the February birthstone, okay? But it also is a crown chakra. It's related to the crown chakra, which is that beautiful, kind of purple color going into clear color, is very beautiful for Pisces. The other stone that I'm wearing tonight, I have new earrings from Opulenza that I just ordered, new to me. And this is a mixture of kyanite and also aquamarine. Aquamarine is one of Pisces, and that's if you're a March Pisces. This is if you're a February Pisces. Either way, it doesn't matter. Or if you're born in February. But I think everybody should have amethyst in their healing crystals. I think that would be a good thing. I think it should be part of each and every one of our healing kits or crystals, because I think that this is something that amethyst really helps with depression. In fact, it is the official gemstone of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's very good for depression and sort of like healing that type of stuff in your body. The other thing, again, with this, I had ordered these. These are new to me. And this is aquamarine. It just came in the mail today. I just threw them on. Aquamarine is very good for grief. Now, if you think about Saturn's both of those. Like, Saturn is depression and Pisces is grief. So there is going to be stuff coming up around this full moon. And yes, the peak of it is Wednesday, but we could be feeling it today, tomorrow, Wednesday. We are going to end up having a couple days of, it might be hard and crusty and crunchy a little bit with this full moon. And so we want to make sure that if something comes up, if you have little tears, if you have a visitation dream, if you can't get a deceased loved one out of your mind and you keep thinking about them, or, whatever it is, let yourself feel the feelings. It's okay to feel the feelings. That's the thing. Pisces is all about feelings. So this full moon is going to be intense in the feeling arena and the feeling department. Now, not all feelings are bad feelings, but I always say you have to feel to heal. You have to feel to heal. And if you think about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or, sometimes, especially here, I think in our culture nowadays, it's so common to want to just not feel, I'll play on my phone, or I'll have, go shopping, or eat too much food, or drink too much drink, or have too much, whatever else substances that you're antidepressants, this and that, and I'm not telling anybody to do anything with their medication. That's not the message. The message is that sometimes we need to just feel our feelings. And if we can just feel our feelings, we can feel and then we can heal. So grief, depression is a common thing with Saturn and Pisces. Grief, especially the grief part. So aquamarine is very good if you have a grieving situation, if you have a deceased loved one that you're just kind of processing. I always wear, I'm a March baby, so I have a lot of aquamarine and I love it. This one's cool because it's aquamarine and kyanite. I'm not trying to sell this. In fact, it's not even for sale anymore. It was a one-day sale. But I like kyanite as well because kyanite instantly balances all of the chakras. I was just looking to see if I have any next to me. I don't. But it's also blue. It's the darker blue, and then the lighter blue is the aquamarine. So anyway, so that is really good. Those are really good stones for this particular full moon. Now, this full moon is associated with Archangel Sandalphon. Sandalphon is the archangel associated with Pisces, and this is one of the few archangels that was said to have been mortal. at one point, and then, you know, became an angel. So he is a male, he is a he. Some of the archangels are like a he, she, they, them situation, but not Archangel Sandalphon. He is a man, and he's considered to be the tallest of all the angels, which I think is interesting. And his name literally is translates to together brother. That's the translation of Archangel Sandalphon's name. So Sandalphon comes to us. Pisces is very connected to music, very connected to spirituality, very connected to the arts, creativity, prayer, all those, you know, I kind of call it the fun things. I like all those fun things. And all that stuff is associated. So it's also associated with Archangel Sandalphon, and that's why they have that connection. Sandalphon is said to come through messages with music, and Sandalphon is said to connect the whole world, like, and all of the beings, all of the animals, the grass, the trees, like, have all that beautiful connection. So Archangel Sandalphon's music is said to come through like birds and crickets and cicadas and frogs, you know, like that's the music of the world, and that's the music of Archangel Sandalphon. Archangel Sandalphon is also said to watch over unborn babies, so babies that have not yet come through, or even babies that have been miscarried, or even aborted babies. Archangel Sandalphon guards over those unborn children of the world, and is associated with sympathy and empathy, and you know, can help in times of grief. Sandalphon is also said to one of the archangels that is said to like help to hear your prayers be answered by God, Buddha, Allah, whoever you pray to. And so if you want to say an extra little prayer to Archangel Sandalphon during this, because it's a powerful full moon. Now we are releasing something, we're letting go. This is the time to burn or destroy your new moon manifestation list. This is about releasing something, letting something go. Remember, it's a peak cycle, and it's a double ending because it's a full moon and it's a full moon in Pisces. Pisces is an ending too. We're wrapping up the astrological time, because the next full moon is going to be in Aries, and that's, you know, the first sign of the zodiac. So we're finishing out something, we're really wrapping something up. Again, that's 7 degrees Pisces. Where is 7 degrees Pisces in your astrological chart? How do you get along with Pisces? Pisces season starts at the end of February, like around February 20th, 21st, and then goes into March 2021. Okay, and that's the time frame of. So how do you feel during Pisces season? Now, we started this cycle back during the last new moon in Pisces. So if you think back in time to what were you doing January 20th, 2023, and that is the last new moon we had. Now, ironically, or maybe not so ironically, the last new moon in Pisces was also a super new moon. So Pisces has had a super new moon, and now is having the superest of all super full moons. So this is a very powerful cycle of change, Pisces. If you have any Pisces in your chart, you have any water in your chart. I saw a couple people posting Cancer moons or Scorpio and Cancer or water signs. If you are a Virgo or Pisces, like I said, or even the outliers are like Gemini and Sagittarius, you might be feeling this too, because you know it's something that is a mutable sign. Okay, and so that's something that's going on too. Pisces is mutable. And so I had somebody recommend this to me. I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't. It's one of my clients recommended this. I thought this was such a cool idea, but my client said, if you can't remember what was going on at that time in your life, you know, I always throw these dates out to you guys. I'm like, what was going on last February? And like, Gretchen, I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, you know, let alone February. Look through your phone and see what photos come up around that date, February 20th photos, or, you know, whatever, the photos that are in your phone. And then you'll kind of be reminded, well, what was going on in my life around that time? Because a lot of us take pictures, right? So I take pictures of everything. You have no idea. I take pictures of like, if something happened to my big toe, I take a picture, you know, like whatever. Now, speaking of feet, that was a clever segue. Did you like that? Speaking of feet, Pisces is feet. Pisces is feet and the lymphatic system. So it's if you have any problems with edema, swelling of ankles, the lymphatic, holding on to fluid in the body, that is very Pisces. Okay, so that is something that that we want to keep in mind. And I had talked about that. I have so many clients with this Saturn in Pisces thing asking me questions about feet, having medical concerns or having medical issues with their feet. And so that is very Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces. We have this full moon in Pisces. So we might retain some more fluid this full moon, because remember, the full moon makes the water, the tides rise up, and, it increases the gravitational pull, where we're like 70-80% liquid. So we're going to be feeling that too. We might feel a little puffy, a little bloated. Now, obviously, if you have a medical condition, that's not so fun. But that is a thing with with Pisces, and the feet has a connection. And like I said, the fluid in the body, okay, because Pisces is water. Now, it might be very calming and soothing, by the way, during this full moon, to be near water. If you have a park near you, you have a lake or an ocean or a stream or something, even sitting next to a little aquarium or pond or something, all of that would be good. The Pisces the moon moves into Pisces on the morning of August 30th at 9:36 a.m. That's when it moves into Pisces, and it'll be in Pisces all the way until Friday, September 1st, and at 9:25 a.m. So for 2 days, Wednesday or Thursday into Friday morning, it'll be in Pisces. So during that time, you might want to go and just sort of, just sit by some water, meditate, any kind of thing like that. I think it would be a good thing. And so that's a thing. That is a thing. Water, fluid, Pisces, Archangel Sandalphon, and listening to soothing music, beautiful music. Again, Sandalphon connects through music. And yeah, so that is very Pisces. Now, the only problem with this is, like I said, is that it's very caught up with Saturn. And Saturn tends to look things as cup is half empty instead of half full. Saturn's like kind of a downer and a little depressing. So you might feel lonely, or whatever with Saturn. Saturn is the dads and bringing in men that are important to us. That is a thing. But we are about to fulfill this big, and we're about to break into a new cycle, because remember, once the full moon releases on Wednesday, we're in that full moon and it starts to lose its light, and we head towards the new moon. So remember, full moon to new moon, we're letting go. We're releasing, like the light is letting go and releasing. We're releasing something from our life. Toxic relationships, bad habits, debt, any kind of thing that you don't want to have anymore in your life. You can release that, like you're going to release that new moon manifestation list, burn, destroy, shred, whatever, that you're going to what I always say is read it again, that new moon manifestation list, read it again, feel the feelings, and then release it and say, a prayer that thank you for helping to fulfill my wishes, my dreams, my goals, my aspirations. Okay. All right. So that is going to be this big full moon. It's a very spiritual full moon. It's a time to get connected, and we may have, visitation dreams. Our intuition might be through the roof. It's just that this Saturn thing's kind of hovering around, and that can be a thing. Now, Saturn's not always bad. He feels depressing. His feeling is depressing, but he's not always bad. Remember, Saturn wants what's best for us. He wants us to meet our goals. He wants us to work hard and work hard again. And how about working hard again? And I swear Saturn's a workaholic. So, he wants us to do the same thing. It's just that he can feel a little down, a little depressing. Okay. Ashley said, about Saturn and older men last weekend, you had one of your biggest individual sales. Lovely, from an older man. Yay, that's amazing, Ashley. I love it. And you had interaction with kind and 3 other kind and friendly older men on the weekend. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but a lot of people, it was it was interesting with males. Like a lot of people either reported having really good or it was really not good. It was kind of like no neutrality in the middle. It was kind of just one of those things. Now, the good news is after this full moon is kind of quiet, astrologically speaking. I've been on a rant, you know, I've been like every day posting like, this is happening, that's happening, and the TikToks and everything else. And now it's kind of like after this full moon, it's like, okay, look, you might want to take a nap. You might want to call out and just take a nap. That's fine. It's all good. Now it's going to be quiet on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the big news on Sunday is that Venus is going direct. Venus retrograde will be over on Saturday, September 3rd, okay? That's the day before Labor Day, Venus retrograde. So remember that Venus has been retrograde all the way since, I think it was, gosh, the end of July. And that has been going on. I did a whole big video about Venus retrograde, how it would affect us, this and that. We did have a big breakup, okay? There's always a big star that has a breakup that it goes on during Venus. It was the last time was Jason Momoa and Zoe, and I can't remember her last name. Kravitz, is it? That was the big breakup, the last Venus retrograde. I think this big retrograde, and one of my viewers actually sent me the text about that. I thought it was funny. Was Britney Spears and her husband. Okay, that was all over the news. It's like a big public, oh my God, what's happening? What happened with them? And so that's been the big one that's been like the overarching, thing going on since then. Venus retrograde has been retrograde since July 22nd. Okay, just so that you know, all the way until September 3rd. So it's been long. It's in Leo. So if you are a Leo, you've been feeling this. Aquarius is too, feeling this. And so Venus retrograde will be over. And that's going to be on Sunday night, September 3rd at 9:20 p.m. So 6:20 p.m. if you're on the West Coast, or in between, do the math, make an adjustment. But that's when it'll be over. Now, remember, it takes a little while for Venus to get, going again and get back to its normal, sort of speed and everything else. But at least it'll be going in the right direction. And that'll be one more retrograde off our plate. But the next day, on September 4th, Jupiter goes retrograde. So just as Venus is stopping the retrograde, the next day on September 4th, Jupiter goes retrograde. So we have another retrograde that's replacing. That's why I said there would have been 8, except for, we have Jupiter trying to jump into the mix here. So Jupiter retrograde again is going on, and then we have Mercury retrograde all the way up until September 15th. So we'll still have that retrograde going on, but we have another week left of Venus retrograde, and that's working out our love life. That is working out the exes and all the things. Now we have also Mercury retrograde, which is also exes and people from our past, and Venus retrograde is exes and people from our past. Both of them are retrograde at the same time still this whole week. We're not done yet, so it doesn't end until Sunday. But it is at least starting to flow. So that'll be something that we can look forward to, at least a little bit of some astrological good news. So once this full moon really releases and lets go, and remember, full moons are a peak, a height, a pinnacle, a max experience. So that's why it gets real intense during full moons. And that's unfortunately, that's what I was going to say. And I forgot. My little plug-in situation distracted me, is that the hurricane in Florida is supposed to hit at that time. Now remember, the Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the god of the ocean, and it is going through now. Where is the line? The line actually goes through a little to the what is that, the west, which is more going through Texas, but it's still in the Gulf. Okay, the Neptune line. So watch it, and I just say use err on the side of caution, because exactly, Ashley just said exactly, you put it together, girl. Oh my God, the full moon means higher tides, and this is the superest of all the super moons of this year. and it's going to hit the ocean, and it's going to be in Pisces, and it's going to so I mean, this is probably going to be a kind of a bad hurricane. I'm just saying, I wouldn't take it lightly. I wouldn't you know, be like, oh, whatever, we'll just hunker down and eat a bunch of Doritos. I would pay attention to this one, because so anything that happens during a super moon is going to automatically be more intense. It just is, you know, I mean, we're talking about, this is science, okay? It just is what it is, you know. I mean, super moons, full moons in general are big, but you know, now we got a super moon. So this is, and it's the biggest super moon of all. So yeah, this could be a little rough for Florida and for even the Gulf, you know, anybody in the Gulf, because Neptune line runs through the Gulf. And it's been doing that for many years. So yeah, so that's a lot. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, anything that they wanted to talk about, but we have a lot this week as far as bigger things. We have that Uranus retrograde starting in Taurus. So if you are a Taurus, you know, that's going to be affecting you for sure. But it'll affect everybody on some level, where there's surprises and glitches and weird things out of nowhere and shocking and unexpected and all those things. And then we have the full moon, super moon, which is also closely tied with Saturn, you know, and that's a little ouchy. But it is the most spiritual, the most, you know, connected sort of full moon. I mean, so on one hand, it could be a little kind of depressing, but on the other hand, it could be very rich and fruitful time for sure. If you guys have any cards or any kind of like tarot cards or astrology things, anything like at home that you like play with, this is the time to kind of play with that sort of stuff, that metaphysical, esoteric. Wendy asked, what time does Jupiter go retrograde? So that is going to be on Monday, on Labor Day, and that's 10:10 a.m. Eastern time, and it is going to be retrograde also in Taurus, just to let you know. And by the way, this is the first time I'm going to be announcing this, but Uranus and Jupiter will be connecting as a conjunction in April of 2024. They're very close to coming together. Okay, those two. Jupiter makes anything bigger that it touches, and it's going to be touching Uranus. So talk about a destabilization. That's coming in April. That'll be the peak, and the max of it is in April, but we'll feel it as we get closer to that time. So just so you know, I know a lot of people like to know these things as a heads up, and that is a heads up for everybody, that we have these two are connecting. I don't really like it when they connect, but it's something that happens roughly every 12 years or so. And so in 2024, they'll be connecting. So that's big. April's going to have a lot of shockers, unexpected events, and things like that coming at that time. Yeah. So I'm going to pull a card, or if anybody has any questions, nobody post any questions. So maybe we don't have any intuitive questions tonight, but yeah, there's a lot going on. So we want to make sure that we do our new moon manifestation, and, you know, release, let go of all those types of things. So again, Archangel Sandalphon can help us if you want to pray or meditate, and then using those stones, aquamarine. Look, if you don't, you're like, I'm not really sure what to use. Black stones, dark stones are always good for grounding. So I always say that's like a good default. Okay, so I'm just going to pull one card then. What does everybody need to know for the week? And I will let you guys go back to your night. Just have awareness, have a little extra patience with people. Give yourself a break, give other people a break. Things are going to get intense, you know? Have like extra, just let people, oh, you're going to cut me off in the traffic? Well, I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to let you do it, you know, because it's going to be intense. What do we need to know about this particular full moon, super moon, this week, Uranus, all the kind of stuff? What do we need to know? What's happening? Oh, something was going to come out there. It didn't quite come out. What do we need to know, angels and spirit guides? There's a lot of energy around this. Yeah. So, okay. So this is a great card. It is the card of Archangel Michael, actually. He's got the sword in his hand, and it says, have crystal clear intentions. Okay. Have crystal clear intentions. The only sort of thing with Pisces/Neptune is that we can feel a little wishy-washy, a little like, I'm not sure, and have crystal clear intentions. Be clear about what you desire and focus upon it with unwavering faith. You know, this is a great time for manifesting, even though we're manifesting on what we want to get rid of and what we want to release and what we want to let go of. This is a good time to do that, okay? And so, but we have to be very clear about, this is so funny. I just had I had a card fall out and I just pulled another card. We have to be clear about what we want to let go of. Like what is no longer working for us? Because remember, that's Saturn retrograde. What is no longer working for us? Are we wasting our time, effort, energy? What is, like, let's just trim the fat and get rid of what doesn't work. And so claircognizance, and this is Archangel Uriel, who is also the Archangel of Aquarius. Claircognizance says, pay attention to those thoughts and ideas that come to you because they are answers to your prayers. And Archangel Michael, this is the one that fell out by itself. So it's interesting. We have two Archangel Michael cards coming out at one time. Remember who you are, okay? You are a powerful, loving, creative child of God, and you are very loved. This means, like, you know, someone might be taking advantage, or someone might be like, you know, sometimes people, they don't even mean to. A lot of times that's, people are painted as like, people will use you, or people do this, that. No, everybody's kind of operate. I think a lot of people are just like in their own little bubble, in their own world. And it's like, well, this works for me. And they're not like paying attention. They're not having that empathetic, highly sensitive person like a lot of people on this broadcast are, you know, and they're just like, their agenda is their agenda. And so maybe we need to just really remember who we are, what our goals, our dreams, our aspirations, and like just get rid of what doesn't work, you know, get rid of all those distractions. I think that's a good word, is the getting rid of the distractions. And the claircognizance can help us to understand what those distractions are, because claircognizance means you just know. It just comes in, you just know. It's like, I don't even know why I know this, but I just know. And that's claircognizance, is just knowing, like where you have this knowing and understanding. And that can be, I call it a download. So we can get those big, I have the feeling this particular full moon is going to be a big download time. And again, intuition is going to be up through the roof. So pay attention to what those dreams, those thoughts, those just knowing feelings are coming into you at this time, and make sure you follow them. Because a lot of intuition is not, a lot of people think that intuition is like hard to access or something. It's not hard. It comes in really fast and easy. It's listening to it and believing it that is the problem. And so I'm telling you, make sure you really believe. Make sure you really believe in yourself. Make sure you believe and trust those gut feelings, we call them gut feelings, right? Those intuitive feelings, because those are the whisperings of our soul, okay? And that is what we need to listen to, and we need to trust it and believe it. How many times did you date somebody and you knew right off the bat, oh, this is not gonna go well, and then you didn't listen to yourself, or take a job, or, you know, walk down an alley, or do whatever thing you were, you know, and it's like, dang it, I got that, I call it a hit. That's claircognizance. So if you remember who you are, and you have, don't get wishy-washy, go, you know, stay firm and solid, because that Pisces moon is mutable, and that can be a little wishy-washy. So we want to have crystal clear intentions. What do we want from our life? And go for it, because that's Saturn. Saturn likes those goals. Saturn's love language is goals, okay? So we have to make sure we're true to ourselves. Exactly. All right, everybody. I hope that helps. And thank you, Rosalie. You sent 50 more stars. I love it, love it. And if you guys want to have any other astrological personalized session, make sure you send me a text message or schedule an appointment. Send me a direct message or text message. I love text messages, so you can send me a text message, and I will be sure to give it back to you and schedule. Also, If you haven't done so already, I know a lot of you have, but if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just got over the 500 marker. I'm trying to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. We'll see. That's been my goal, my hope, my dream. And also I have TikTok too, if you guys want to watch me on TikTok as well. All right, everybody, lots of love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy full moon, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Namaste.